Hi,
Yes, how are you today, Shahan? Correct?
I'm good. Shaheen.
Shahin, nice to meet you. And my
Nice
name
to.
is, I'm from New York. And what would you like to practice today, Shahin?
Uh, I have seen your profile. You are helping with IELTS, but I don't want to do IELTS today.
Mhm.
I just want some discussion and suggestions.
Oh, absolutely. And do you have any particular topic in mind that you'd like to discuss?
Yeah. Uh,
Okay, go ahead. Shoot.
I'm on my intermediate level, so
Mhm.
I thought that I'm stuck on a plateau. I'm not progressing anymore. So, what should I do to reach C2 level or C1 level?
All right. The key is to expand your vocabulary. It's very important that you know synonyms to a word, because that would also give you the leverage of applying or constructing sentences, whether in a formal setting, professional, or just casual.
Okay.
So that's really the key. For example, a basic word example, the word help. So if you say I will help you today, it's very basic, anybody can understand it. But if you are let's say at work or at the office, instead of using that word, you say, I will assist you today.
Okay.
And it sounds professional.
Yes.
So
And
that's
what
really
about
the key.
grammar structures? Should I use it advanced?
Well, grammar is very important academically, in a formal setting, and professionally. Whereas in daily conversations, it's not that important because the key is to be able to communicate. For instance, whether you're in the UK or the United States, especially for younger people, to speak grammatically incorrect is cool. If you speak
Okay.
very correct, it's like, what are you, a professor? You're boring. Like that.
Okay.
Yes, so you mentioned about IELTS. So in IELTS, it's academic. That's the reason why it's crucial that you can. I think the the pointage system that they have in IELTS, they base it on the relatability of your answer to the question, usage of vocabularies, and also idioms, expressions, and your grammar the your grammar correctability, and that's how they base it.
Okay.
Because
I want to give IELTS general. Actually, I don't have any plan to move any country, but just I want to improve my English. And if I say that, yeah, I'll improve my English, it's not possible. I'll not put an effort towards it. But if I set a target that, yeah, I'm going to give this exam, definitely for sake of the exam, I'll study something.
okay,
So,
so that's your motivation. Another key
so
is, let's say, if you want to improve your fluency, it will come natural to you. The more you practice, the better you become. And just 5 minutes of your time daily, as soon as you wake up, talk to yourself in English. Like you'd say something like, Good morning, Shahid. I wonder if I'll take a shower or cook my breakfast now. Because that's a mental exercise for you to remember the words you know and put them into sentences. And the reason why you have to talk out loud is for you to hear yourself while you're speaking. So you can also identify if you have any grammatical errors and pronunciation mistakes.
for that purpose, I'll have to record my own voice and then I have to listen myself.
Yes, or think about when you were a child. You always talk to yourself. It's the same way when you're learning a new language, and make it
Okay.
enjoyable, because if you know you're studying, there is something that happened psychologically. Like you have this tendency to feel like it's the same, you're getting bored. But if you entertain yourself, like you watch yourself in the mirror, how you talk, or pretend like you're an actress auditioning for a movie, then it's enjoyable.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Yes, and if you have friends that speak in English is also a plus. Or if you're driving and you're alone, describe everything you see, because there are people, let's say I have these students, they're already professionals and they just want to polish their English for their interviews. But the tendency is they memorize it. And then the interviewer asks them, okay, just tell us something about yourself. So it's oft what they memorize. They don't know how to express themselves anymore.
No, I'm really very bad at memorizing things. What comes naturally, it's much better for me.
So that's a plus for you because that's what it is. Languages are meant to express and communicate. So if it's too tedious, it makes a person rigid. You
Yes,
and being able to express your emotions is really the key because you're putting it into the words.
yes. And I thought studying individual words is also not a good idea, because if you study it in a complete sentence or in a phrase, it's easy to remember, or whenever you need, you can use that phrase as it is. But if you study a particular word and you study the meaning of that word, it's quite difficult to use that vocabulary while you're talking.
That's right. And but not, it really depends because, for example, if you're saying like the word scent and fragrance, when to use it, they mean the same basically, but it really depends on who you're talking with. If
No,
it's
sometimes I felt like if I saw a new word and I tried to memorize it, and I thought that next time I'll use it, I'm like, I will not remember that particular word. But if I use that word in some context, or in a two, three different sentences, I can use that sentence as it is during my conversation. But particular words, it's quite difficult for me.
I see. Well, I'll
Maybe it's vary from person to person.
no. I'll share with you like when we were in grade school. So for children, they teach us bigger words. And then what we do is not just memorize, but to understand how to apply it in a sentence, right? So for example, structure. Structure means so many things, but basically it means a foundation. So we try to
Yes.
put it in a sentence while we're, at home. And then it starts to blend into your own vocabularies. It becomes part of the words that you know.
Hmm. Means at least if we start using that word in different sentences, it will become a habit. But initially, especially with me,
Hmm.
initially, if suppose I just learn particular word, I may not remember next time. But if I start using that word with a phrase or in a complete sentence, I can replace it with another context and I can use it.
Right. Yes, and there's an advantage to that. Depends on who you're talking with, it can be impressive.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think it's the same in any language. For instance, like in your country, people who have a higher education or maybe a higher level in society, they know more words than those who are less educated.
Yes.
It's the same everywhere. So, for instance, America is an English speaking country, but how do we know if someone is, let's say, an airhead? It's how they speak.
What is meant by
uh,
airhead?
let's just say not too smart. It's
Okay.
through how they talk, the words that they use.
Okay.
Yes, and it's the same everywhere. But that also, I always like to look at the age of the person, because if they're still like, let's say, 10 to 18, I expect that. But if they're ready in their
Okay.
20s, then I know that maybe they're high school dropouts.
Okay.
So that's a plus.
Means it happens in native countries as well.
Yes, it's everywhere because all languages are a compilation of that civilization or that culture. And
Mm.
of course, we study it. Like here, even though we're an English speaking country, we still study our own language. We have an English class in school,
Yes,
and the same
yes,
everywhere
yes.
else.
And it's everywhere.
Right. Because that is an important understanding of how you use your own language.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
I just thought that if suppose UK and US people are native speakers, so maybe their vocabulary is vast and they have a good knowledge of language.
That's true. Their vocabulary is vast, but it depends on uh, how educated they are. If they're, let's say, like I mentioned, a high school dropout, then the pronunciation and the types of words that they know are mostly slang.
Okay.
Like,
They do not use the standard language.
well, it is considered the common folk language.
Okay.
Because, for instance, somebody would say, would you like to go out? They would say, hey, you'd like to chill? Same meaning, but different words.
Okay.
And that, I think the difference between Europe and the United States is here we're more expressive. That's the reason why we have more slang words.
Okay.
And another plus to keep in mind is everything has a rhythm. All languages have a rhythm. So for a lot of native speakers, they know how to speak their language. But if they're not, let's say, have the capability to teach, they wouldn't know how to explain, example, grammar. They wouldn't know how to explain that.
Yes. Yes.
Because
Yes.
in school, how I remember when I was also in elementary, how I get everything right is I say it in my mind. If it sounds right, it must be right. If it sounds wrong, then it's grammatically wrong because there's a rhythm.
Okay. Okay. Is there a difference between UK and US language? Is there a difference in your rhythm? UK and US
Uh,
means accent or language?
Academically, no, there's not. But of course, if it's casual in slang, there's a big difference.
Okay. Rhythm means intonation and word stress, or you're talking about something different?
No, it's I mean the same because when we are, example, in a literature class or a philosophy class, we would try to read it as much close to the origin of English, which is the Queen's English, England's language.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
but uh, it's a lot of people. That's the reason why Americans are fascinated with Shakespeare because of some of these words already don't exist. Whereas the English are fascinated with the western part of the states, the southern part, because they speak with a
Okay.
twang. And if you
Um,
yes, so if you see like a British actor speaking in an American accent, he speaks with a southern accent.
okay.
It's easier for them. But another difference between US and UK English, some spellings are different. Like
Yeah, R and like can't, nasty, nasty. Like A and R pronunciation is different because I follow British phonetics. I'm working in an education field,
Mhm.
so I knew about it.
Yes, that's with the intonation, but with spelling. For example, here in the States, we just spell color COLOR, whereas in the UK, COLOUR.
Color and
Yes,
color, sugar and
yes.
sugar, water and water. I know the
We
difference.
have a softer T, water. We say water.
Yeah, D sound. You pronounce it D instead of T.
Yes, because we're separated. We're in a different continent. So
Okay, time is
nice to
running.
meet you, Shaheen.